It's Reagan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. This reading vlog is very exciting because it's actually kicking off a reading challenge for myself that I'm doing basically until the end of the year. Just a way for me to sort of focus in on my current TBR and try to stay as focused as possible because I need to catch up on my reading goal before 2026. So let's go ahead and dive first into some details about the challenge and then I'll move on to my TBR for this vlog. So the challenge I am starting and sort of documenting across multiple of my social channels is something called 75 Booked. It's a reading play on 75 hard, designed to sort of jumpstart your reading once again, which I feel like I desperately need. Currently speaking, I have read 51 of the 80 books I'm hoping to get to before the end of the year. So I'm about like 13 books behind, which I don't want to be. I want to catch back up to that. But basically, this is a reading challenge just designed to help get reading back into your everyday routine. And I thought it'd be a fun thing to sort of document with you guys as well. The first aspect of the challenge is to try to read an hour and a half every single day, with half of that time spent reading out of bed. Next up is a book buying ban. And if you've been following my Counting My Physical TBR videos, I have like 230 unread books on my bookshelves. So I think a little bit of a book buying ban would be a good idea for me as I can kind of work to get that number down a bit. And then lastly is a spin I'm adding to it. I really want to get back into listening to more audiobooks. I really love audiobooks and I just feel like I haven't really been picking them up this year. So I'm hoping to listen to more audiobooks while also pairing with activities that I really enjoy and find like relaxing, going on really long walks, especially now that the weather is finally starting to cool off, and then pairing that also with other hobbies like puzzling and gaming and stuff like that. I'm just trying to integrate audiobooks, also just a more wider range of hobbies into my routine as well. So I just thought it all sounded so much fun. So with that in mind, this is what I plan to be doing for the next 75 days or so. Let's go ahead and jump into my TBR. So I have two books to show off today. The first is If We Were Villains by ML Rio. This is actually the audiobook I have started and have been listening to and plan to continue to listen to over the course of this week. I don't know how long it'll take me to finish because I do listen to my audiobooks kind of more slowly than average. I listen to 1.25. It would be fantastic if I could finish this week, but even if I don't, as long as I make decent progress, I'll be very happy. This basically follows a group of friends, part of this prestigious like Shakespearean department at a university. Something happens, resulting in one of the members to be in prison for 10 years, and he's now sort of recounting the events from so many years prior. It sounds intense, kind of obnoxious in a way that I really enjoy, and I'm hoping I like it. And then kind of a lighter read that I'm also hoping is a quick read is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. This is more of a romantasy novel about our main character who enters like a marriage of convenience with a prince and she's at this magical academy. I'm not sure. It has a lot of tropes, but a lot of tropes that I like. So I'm hoping it's good. So that is my TBR for this video. Wish me luck because some of these are quite chunky, so I'm gonna need all the luck I can get. But welcome to the start of this vlog, the start of this challenge, and I'm excited to document and have you guys follow along. Another day, another bowl of miso soup. Back in my element, we're doing a puzzle, which also means I have some of my audiobook to talk about in a bit, but I'm gonna make dinner first. But I wanted to show off the puzzle design. It's like this wizard, cozy house. Isn't it so cute? But that's the progress I made. I'm quite pleased, but now it's time to get dinner together. We're up, we're at 'em. It's finally feeling like fall this week. I also lit a fresh candle. This smells like apple cider donuts. And I'll be honest, incredible, impeccable, 10 out of 10. Hi everyone, good morning. I want to do a reading update of the first book I'm featuring in this vlog, which is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. Now this is a romantasy book. I don't really know what inspired me to pick up romantasy, but I don't know, it just sounded interesting. I thought maybe I could read it pretty quickly, which is kind of a vibe I'm looking for right now. The setup is kind of ridiculous, but I am reading it quickly. So let's talk about what this book is about. This book is set in a fantasy world where the magic system is actually pretty interesting. The magic system centers the creation of tarot cards, and you ink them, and then you can activate the tarot to gain power. Each card has its own specific abilities, which as a concept, I like. The fantasy government is quite evil. There are noble families that are wealthy and, you know, take advantage of everyone. There is a king and princes that rule with tyranny and violence. Specifically, magical users either have to enter this academy or essentially be like sentenced to the mines to gain the raw resources to make tarot cards. Like, very extreme situation that is full of political violence that we find ourselves in. Our main character, Kara, is literally in prison at the beginning of this book. She's serving a life sentence for illegally inking her own tarot cards and being involved in like this underground community of magic users, those types of things. And she's plucked out of prison by a prince of the realm who's also the headmaster of this magical academy. And he's like, I think you have the secrets to unlock this tarot magic that I need. You're now engaged to me. You're now enrolling into the school. I hope you survive. And that sort of kicks off the story. So it has like enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience, rebel, magical academy, evil kingdom, lots of secrets. A lot is happening. And also a lot is thrown at you within the beginning pages of this book. Some of it subtle, a lot of it not. And that's kind of where I say, like, I can't tell if I'm loving this book or hating it. I am reading it quickly though. Like, it's just kind of all very ridiculous in terms of a setup, but is it ridiculously entertaining? Like, I don't know yet. It's definitely better than other things I've read because I've read about 100 pages, and the fact that like I'm still trying to suss that out and I'm still going, I feel like maybe means this is gonna fall into a middle ground. But like, it's very clear to see all the tropes and situations at play. You know, we have this dark, mysterious prince who's evil, but he's probably not evil, but I don't know. I do like the Magical Academy, and I think the tarot magic is pretty interesting as a setting, but like, obviously, like, everything is so classically expected, but is that a bad thing? Again, clearly I'm of multiple minds of this book. I don't know how I feel about it, but I am reading it quickly, and the physical copy of this book is crazy. It is so nice. This almost feels like leather without the dust jacket. It's a long book, so I've got a lot to experience, and maybe this means the pacing will be great, or it'll be super bloated and it had no reason to be this long. I don't know. I don't know how I feel, but I'm curious. So we're just gonna keep going. The setup is a lot, but like, is it working? To be determined. To be determined. But I still have time before I need to sit down and get various things done today. So I think I'm gonna go get dressed and actually go on a walk and listen to more If We Were Villains, which I also started yesterday when I was puzzling. And then I'll update y'all more about that book, which I'm having more clear feelings about, more immediate sense of if I'm liking that book or not. So update soon, but let's go walk. while my soup boils, thought I'd do a little reading update of If We Were Villains, because this is the audiobook I started yesterday. I've gone for 2 long walks. I've also done a good chunk of puzzling. So I've actually listened to like a good little bit of this story. I was really excited to pick this up. And the decision to do audio was kind of spontaneous, but I'm actually so happy I did audio because I actually feel like this might be better to listen to than to read. But let me take a step back and talk about the book itself. The setup of this story is our main character Oliver, after 10 years of being in prison, is released. And the detective that was on his case 10 years prior comes to him and is like, can you finally tell me what happened? Because while Oliver was attending this very prestigious university to be a Shakespearean actor, all of the actors in his year were super close, like family, until something tragic happened and everything sort of devolved from there. And so now Oliver is recounting his school life, this event, and then like the fallout of everything. And I'm actually liking it. I love screwed up friendships. I love like pretentious academic settings. I love a theater setting, to be honest. And the reason why I'm really liking the audiobook is that, no surprise, there's a lot of Shakespeare in this because they're all Shakespearean actors, but like a lot of reading Shakespeare, a lot of acting out Shakespearean scenes, and the scenes of Shakespeare are supposed to mirror the complexities of the group. Not only like the type of, like a lot of the characters foil a lot of the Shakespearean figures they play, but also the stories themselves, like the tragic ends, these types of things are foiling the story too. So listening to the audiobook narrator like act out these Shakespearean scenes just makes it so much easier, one, to follow, but also like it makes it very immersive and atmospheric. I feel like I'm in the audience experiencing this play, and I really like the narrator style, and it has made it quite gripping, which I'm very, very happy about. With the story itself, we're introduced to Oliver. He's recounting everything, and we meet his like bestie named James. We meet Richard, who's like this big, powerful guy. Meredith, who's this stunning seductress. We have Wren, who's more like girl next door. And there's another figure named Richard, who like smokes a lot of cigarettes, kind of more of a villainesque character. We have Philippa, whose character is a little harder to nail down. And then Oliver himself is always kind of like the sidekick character. And it's interesting so far. I like the school setting. I love all the Shakespearean scenes and plays and like the tension and the competition between people that are supposed to be very close. And I don't know, so far it just feels like there's a lot of ambiance and tension the author's trying to create. It sort of feels like a pot put on to boil, like slowly nothing, then a simmer, and like I know the boil's coming and everything's gonna fall apart. Like that's known from the beginning, a little bit of dramatic irony. But yeah, the audiobook, super, super engaging. The Shakespeare is shining. I can see why this is popular, and I'm excited to continue to listen and to read it and to figure out how it's all gonna end, because I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, the ride has been very good. So, you know, sometimes I love a mystery just for the end, but it's a great mystery if like the beginning, middle, and end are all very entertaining too. So far so good. I think my soup is boiling, so I'm gonna throw in some dumplings. actually about to go pick up our friends from the airport. We're having some friends stay with us this weekend because we have another wedding this weekend as well. Clay's actually the best man. The bestest of all men this weekend, Clay.
The best man.
Anyway, I'll probably be vlogging just bits and pieces over the next few days, but I'm hoping to still do some reading at the very least, but I will surely have a montage and then continue to check in with y'all. Good morning, everyone. The wedding is so fun. Donuts are the only way to fight off the Sunday scaries.
Literally. So good.
Very seasonally confused this morning because I'm taking down all my fall decor to reset my house and get ready for holiday decorating, which is in like T-minus 5 days. So I know this is bizarre, just my life. So we're gonna pack all this up in the boxes. Hi guys, I very much owe y'all a reading update as well as a challenge update. And now that the wedding weekend has come and gone, our friends have sadly left. Also means I can get back to being laser focused on reading. From a challenge point of view, I'm happy to say that aside from the day of the wedding, I have successfully read over an hour and a half every single day. In fact, I have well exceeded that hour and a half number each time. So I think falling a little bit behind on Saturday is okay because I've definitely made it up in other areas. Also, I'm so into audiobooks. I always experience this, especially after I take a bit of a break. I'm like reminded of how much audiobooks are just awesome. I love listening to them when I cook, when I do puzzles, when I go for walks, when I literally do anything, I'm now listening to an audiobook. And I also feel like I'm just absolutely flying through the book I'm listening to, which reminder is If We Were Villains, which I guess we will start with. I am about 60% of the way through this book and it is so entertaining. I've already established that this follows a group of close friends and their Shakespeare department of this prestigious liberal arts college. And there's just something about like very intense friendship dynamics that I like, especially in a situation where there's like rivalry and competition and closeness that's confusing, both like the dynamics within the larger group, but then all of the one-on-one relationships that are formed as well. Obviously, a lot of the story is contained from Oliver's point of view, but there's a great building of tension and ambiance as he brings us through this story. And like the moments of like, whoa, in terms of reveals have definitely gotten me. And like, I find myself killing time listening to this so I can keep listening to it because I don't want to put it down. And I'm really liking the narrator. I feel like he's capturing the voice of Oliver really well, and I also think he's doing a really great job reading all of the different Shakespearean, scenes. He also does all these different voices, so it's like easy to keep track of everyone. I'm really liking that. And earnestly, I don't really know where this book is going, which I'm liking. And for a more mystery thriller-esque story where usually I feel like I rely mostly on the end to deliver like ultimately how I feel about the book, I've been really engaged with this story since the beginning. Like the beginning and the middle have also been amazing. I am moving into that sort of final act of the story. Ironically, this book is organized by acts and by scenes, which I also really like. So it's following that very traditional play structure, which I also think is great. But it's super engaging so far, and I can totally understand why this book is so popular because it's got a lot going for it. And I'm very curious to see how the whole thing is going to wrap up, and I'm for sure getting there. I listened to a good chunk while I was putting all of my fall decor away. I'm gonna listen to another good chunk tonight. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow that I plan to literally walk to so I can listen to my audiobook. Like, this whole thing is kind of taking over my life, but like in the best way possible. I'm just very, very invested in the story and the characters, and I just love obnoxious people doing obnoxious things. I like that I don't particularly fully understand all of the characters and that none of them are wholly perfect or likable. It makes for a much more interesting and unpredictable story. So that's definitely landing for me. Moving on now to my other read, my physical read, which is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. This obviously has been a bit more of a wishy-washy experience where I felt like I immediately liked If We Were Villains. This book has sort of been taking me for a ride of indecision. It's very tropey. It's very classic in terms of its structure from a romantasy point of view. And so for those reasons, sometimes I find myself like rolling my eyes or thinking it's a little bit cheesy. But then on the other hand, I am undeniably entertained at times, and I am reading it pretty quickly. I've reached the over 200 page mark of this book, so I'm making good progress, but like also, you know, I think we're finally leaning in the direction of like. I don't know about love, and it's definitely not hate, but I do think I'm starting to like this book. Obviously, as I've mentioned, this book has tarot card-based magic, and while maybe the world building of that magic system has been a little bit clunky, it's very interesting. I love the construction and the building of these cards. I also love watching our main character in class, learning about the magic system as well, and then also how some characters have very specific magic tied to certain cards. I think all of that is pretty cool. I think the romantic pacing has been decent so far. 200 pages into a 500 page book. That's supposed to be, you know, enemies to lovers. I think that's sort of the setup. I appreciate how things have been drawn out. Clearly, our main characters are keeping secrets from each other. Clearly, we're not getting the full backstory on our flawed hero, the prince, if you will. And I'm sure there's going to be some grand reveals. But I also appreciate the sort of getting to know each other phase, the back and forth, the misunderstanding, the frustration, the anger. All of that is existing between the two characters is pretty interesting. There's also a decent cast of side characters. So there's friendships and enemies within this school setting that make for, you know, a quick read, which I like. Obviously, if I zoom out and like really think about the plot, especially some of the larger political maneuverings organized by the prince, I'm not sure how much it wholly perfectly makes sense. But if I think about it more in an isolated situation of like a romantasy book that's, you know, decently written, a character I don't dislike, good romantic pacing, a magical academy, like it's a pretty good time. And I feel like I'm just gonna keep trucking along with it, and I feel like I will be able to finish it pretty quickly, which ultimately is like a win in itself as someone who's trying to catch up on their reading challenge, because I'm behind on that. So like, I'll take a quick read when I can get it. I think it's neither fantastic, but I have decided it's far better than some other romantasy books I have read also in the past. So I think it's just like landing somewhere in the middle, which is totally okay. Totally okay. Also, here's my proud update of all of my packing up. Not so bad. There's my beautiful completed puzzle, and also I've listened to like 8 hours of the If We Were Villains audiobook. Now you just want to move right in. It's literally stunning, and I think I'm going to start another puzzle tonight. Officially in comfortable clothes, but I'm about to start making dinner and listening to more of my audiobook. But I'm also happy to report that I've been reading, and I've read another like 120 pages of Arcana Academy. Honestly, I don't have much new to say, except that I would like more context into the inner workings of the prince character. I'm sure there's going to be reveals, and maybe there's going to be a sequel with his POV, but I very rarely request male point of views, but I think it'd be helpful because I'm intrigued, and I feel like it's probably also pretty interesting. That being said, though, everything I have felt continues to be true. I'm reading it. I'm liking it. I'm going to keep going. It's a long book. It's over 500 pages, 576 pages maybe. It's definitely not short. 544 pages. So we're going to get there. I'm going to make it through. I believe in me, so you should too.
Line sets in the merciless dark backstage.
Under the dragon's tail.
and my nativity was asked to serve you in the
Hello everyone. Let's do a bit of a reading sprint and a reading update of Arcana Academy. A little good news, bad news situation. Good news. I read a lot of this book last night before bed, so I have about 100 pages left, which is good. Bad news is, I don't know if it's because it's really long, I don't know if it's maybe I'm not in the mood for it anymore, but I feel like my feelings with this book have been a bit of a roller coaster since the beginning. It started out kind of confused, then good. Now I feel like I'm creeping back into not quite bad, but indifference. Like I cannot wait for me to be done with this book. And I can't really put my finger on like an exact reason. It's not that I'm hating everything I'm reading. I just can't bring myself to like fully be invested in the story. Like I just don't care as much as I feel like I should, which sounds so bad. And this book is not like so bad, but at the same time, though, I have to be honest. And again, it might be just due to its length. Like there's just a lot of book. And so maybe it sort of lost me, especially now that we've moved into the end. I imagine it'll pick back up again with the 100 pages remaining. You know, we're going to move into the big plot movement, the cliffhanger, all of those things, going into what I'm sure is going to be the next installment of this book. But I don't know. I just feel like I like a lot about this world. I think the concepts are strong, but it's sort of missing that intangible quality, just being like something you're obsessed with. I can't deny I read it quickly, but just my feelings toward it are just like kind of lukewarm. So yeah, sorry, I feel bad. So I'm gonna work on finishing this now. And the other good news is I am done with When We Were Villains. If We Were Villains. I keep wanting to call it If We Were Liars. Oh, If We Were Villains. I finished it while making dinner last night, whilst frying up my cutlets and doing my new puzzle. I completed it. So I will wrap up hopefully all of my final thoughts and feelings when I get this book done at the end of this video. But honestly, in terms of pages read, very successful. Very successful, which I'm pleased with. But let's get to reading, shall we? Guys, I'm so happy to report I have finished both my books, so we're able to wrap this vlog up completely. Meaning I read the entirety of the 550 pages of Arcana Academy. I'm ending this book on a bit of a whimper. I don't have strong finishing thoughts or feelings. I'm not even sure if I'm going to continue. The ending was interesting, but I just sort of felt like I was like uninterested with this book, interested, and then everything sort of fell off once again. But I don't have like super strong criticisms. I just really wasn't invested. But there were parts about the book I did like. So it's like, it's kind of a confusing situation. I will say if you really love romantasy, this might be worth checking out. Maybe I just like wasn't in the mood for this genre like I initially thought, but I did read all 550 pages, so yay. And then also I listened to the entirety of If We Were Villains, which was like 12 and a half hours. I do listen to it at 1.25x speed. This is 354 pages, meaning I read 904 pages over this week, which I know is above average for me, especially recently. So I'm very, very happy about my reading volume. This, I'm happy to say, I did enjoy. I can understand why this book is popular. I thought the ending was pretty interesting. I felt the tension was pretty well executed throughout this whole book. I thought the friendship dynamics, the mystery, the violence, just everything that sort of occurred over this book was quite engrossing. And I felt like overall it was pretty effective in what it was trying to achieve. I don't think it's my favorite version of this I've ever read, but I would pretty much recommend this book to anyone because it does feel like overall a crowd pleaser. And I would especially recommend the audiobook. But that means we have completed my first little reading bit of 75 books. And also, as I said, 904 pages. So maybe if I'm able to maintain this momentum, I can catch up and complete my reading goal before the end of the year. Fingers crossed. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye.